Thank you to everyone in the room with me who came out to say hello in person. We really love the opportunity to shake hands and see people in person, especially when there's not a fire we're all trying to solve together, but just a chance to build our relationships. But thank you to everyone who's on Teams as well. We appreciate you attending. So we hold these development advisory forums quarterly. Today's is going to be a little bit different format. It's not letting me advance it. Okay. Yay. Well, one thing, we wanted to take a moment to say thank you. I think technically Customer Appreciation Day is the third Friday in May, but nobody wants a development advisory forum meeting on a Friday. So we're celebrating today. So it's part of why we wanted to have some of the refreshments and see you in person. So again, appreciate it. And it just worked out perfectly because we have been working hard on improving our processes to better serve all of our customers, and it aligned that we were able to do a readout on that today. And so it just worked out perfectly that today's Customer Appreciation Day, and we can talk about you, our customer, all day today. So what we have been at work the last few months at is the first thing we did, is we did an electronic survey. So thank you to everyone who participated in our survey. And we got a lot of good results from it, but I just wanted to highlight a couple of the things we saw. Overall satisfaction was 74% positive. We would love to see that improve. We did if some of you are familiar with Net Promoter Score, we did a Net Promoter Score question on how likely would you recommend working with Goodyear Development Services, and that was 36. We have a lot of room for improvement there, and I can tell you, you'll see in a minute, we have a goal on that too, to improve that Net Promoter Score. Did you feel that development services team members were helpful and professional? We got almost 87% positive on that, so we really are happy that at least if sometimes our processes are a little bit frustrating, it sounds like our staff are being helpful as they can, so we love to hear that feedback. And did you experience unnecessary delays? 61% said no, which means almost 40% of our people are saying yes. So we hear you loud and clear on that on the delays. So again, we got a lot of other good information from the survey results. I just wanted to highlight that because we got some really positive feedback, and we heard some areas that we could improve our processes, and we are working on that. So after we did this typical survey, we did a customer listening session. We sent out an invitation and had, I think about, 30 or 40 customers were able to attend in person and give us additional feedback, build on that survey to provide us information on where we could make changes and improve. The first thing we heard about was what is working well with Goodyear. We want to make sure we don't start improving something that's working well for you. And we heard that, we have accessible and responsive staff. We heard that how we do our planning and zoning commission to council timing is really helpful. We were one of the first cities to do the final plat administrative. Now the state's passed a law that everyone's going to have to make theirs administrative, but we appreciate that you recognize that we were ahead on that area. There are a lot of aspects of Acela that are working well. There were some shout outs to our economic development team, and we heard that there was appreciation that we were listening. We were listening to the areas we could, opportunities to improve. So thank you for sharing that with us. But then, of course, we moved on to what challenges are you experiencing with Goodyear Development Services? And what we're going to go through is we're going to present a slide of what we heard folks say at this customer listening session and through the survey of the challenges that are being experienced. And then we're going to follow that up with a slide telling you how we're working to address it. And what I'd really love, we left some Post-it notes around in the room. For those of you on Teams, excuse me, feel free to take notes, and you can leave them here for us if you think, hey, actually, they missed the mark. That's not what we were trying to tell you what we're experiencing. Please leave us a note in the Teams chat, or on the Post-it notes, or if you have feedback on how we're addressing things, like, that's not quite getting it right, or, I know some other city that tried that and it failed, so you might want to talk to them, or I have another idea of how you could address that. We want all that feedback, so please be doing that during the meeting. At the end of the presentation, I will also have my email up there, and you can also, after the meeting, if you feel more comfortable talking to an individual staff member, whether it's me or any staff member that you might have a good relationship with, please, this isn't supposed to be a one and done. We're trying to have an ongoing conversation of how we can continue to improve our processes to meet our customers' needs. So this is just the start, so feel free to reach out to us anytime. All right, with that, we are going to get started, and I'm going to introduce Kim Bradford, our Deputy Director of Planning, for the first item.
Okay, full disclosure, I am a walker and talker, so this is going to be an experiment in standing still in front of the microphone, so bear with me. As Katie mentioned, I'm Kim Bradford. I'm one of the Deputy Directors here in Development Services, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about kind of the big picture. So as Katie mentioned, one of the things that we heard was we really want to have engaged and empowered staff. And I want to say, first of all, thank you for the feedback in the session and the survey. One of the things that we did following that listening session was our team spent 4 days in a rapid improvement event, and that's a tool that we use. We use lean management and development services for all of our continuous improvement activities. And so we really had an opportunity to kind of dive into immediate analysis and kind of grouping of what themes did we hear, and you'll be hearing some of the details of how we took and actioned that both immediately and then what we're working on ongoing. But what I want to do is take it up to the 30,000 foot level because we also had the opportunity, wonderful timing, that while we were hearing all of this feedback, we were also working on our 3-year department strategic plan. And so what you see here represented is, at the foundation is obviously the work that we do to deliver development to the community and facilitate your projects through our processes, through plan review, inspections, et cetera. On the top, what I want to solidify is that our vision statement is to not only enable and sustain high-quality development for the community in service to the vision that our council and our citizens have charged us with, but we are doing so through a simple customer-centric process. And I just wanted to emphasize that because you, the customers, and we're taking this very seriously of what Katie alluded to of an ongoing dialogue, because we are doing a lot of improvements, and we want to make sure that as we're doing that, we're actually hitting the mark and driving toward hitting this vision. So what you see in the middle are our 3 strategic goals. So I'm just going to outline for you a little bit as far as what those look like on the big picture. And then you'll start to hear some of the tactics that we're using to drive those forward immediately and in the future. Initially, our first goal is creating a thriving team culture. And what that means for you, our customers, is really that our staff have a growth-oriented environment. They have the tools and they have the resources that's necessary to actually move your projects through our processes. And that is really facilitating that engagement and the empowered decision-making. One of the key points I think that came out of the listening session was we want staff to feel empowered. So when we are working through issues while projects are in process, they have the tools and the support to do that, to be empowered to make those decisions. So that is one of our key goals here that we're focusing on. Goal number 2 is focused on excellence in your customer experience. And really what that means is that we have responsive and transparent communications with you throughout your process. We are communicating in a way that allows you to know who to contact, when you can expect things, and you'll hear some of that specifics today as far as what we're putting in place. But really that we are solution-oriented. Part of this vision statement is we have a shared goal. We aren't successful without each other, and so how can we be solution-oriented and then clear and transparent in those communications? So that's tied to our customer experience there. And as Katie said, one of the key ways we're going to know that is by asking you, are these improvements that we're making, are they actually enhancing your experience or not? And if not, how do we adjust? And then lastly, we have what we love to call quality at the source. And that is really making sure that we are understanding your goals at the outset. We are understanding the different variables and considerations as projects as they come in. We are focusing on providing complete, clear, and consistent comments at the very beginning. We're talking those through with you. So again, you have some clarity, and we're reducing some rework that may happen if we're not diligent upfront at the quality at the source. And ultimately, that will help us not only move the quality projects further, but also it will reduce our timeframes and kind of achieve that mutual goal of getting that development facilitated according to what you're needing. So with that, I just want to kind of put an exclamation point that we are in this for the long haul. You can see in our vision statement and in our strategy that we're really focused on not only improving, but your voice and what that means to you and your experience of working with us is driving that. So we look forward to hearing your feedback about what we've been working on, but also continuing this dialogue throughout our process. So thank you again for the feedback, and with that, I'll give it back to Katie.
Thank you, Kim. All right. The next thing we heard were under the plan review process umbrella. Okay, I'm just struggling today. There we go. So we heard a few things here. We heard that there's areas for improvement in the coordination of the plan reviews between the different divisions that look at them. We heard that there was a need for predictability and consistency of the plan review timeframes, that we have an area of improvement of our cycle times on our plan review. The predictability and consistency of the comments being received in the plan review. And we also heard there was an area to improve the amount of projects that are going to a third review and even beyond. And so the next couple slides are where I think we're going to be addressing all of those together. The main thing is the internal coordination we are working on. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time with this. There we go. So our development review committee, which is our internal team of the different divisions that review plans, meets daily, and it's led by our three main division managers of the planning manager, Christian Williams, the civil engineering manager, Brad Finke, and our building plans manager is vacant currently. It was Cheryl Mullis, and we're working on recruiting and filling that position. So those three managers, working with our other divisions such as fire and traffic, are taking a hands-on approach to assist these projects through the process. And we're working on those internal systems for our standard work and communication that's happening multiple times a day. So some of you may have already seen, we are sending out an introduction email. So after you get through your administrative review, or what we call pre-screen here at Goodyear, you're getting an introductory email verifying that we have your plans, and as we know it, when we think you're going to get comments out. You also receive an email later before the review's over to schedule your comment review meeting with staff. We are working to prioritize those second submittals. What I hear a lot on the review timeframes too is that, I think there's some understanding that sometimes those first reviews can take a little longer. It's the first time we're seeing the project. There's a lot of coordination, but that there's a definite need for those second submittals and beyond to get through a little bit more quickly. So we are prioritizing those. We are doing internal comment review. So at that development review committee led by our managers, we're reviewing the comments with the team members before they go out to you, the customer, so that we can make sure there's consistency between the different review teams, that the comments are clear and understandable, they're consistent with our standards and with the goals of our council and city management office as well. As I mentioned briefly, daily management system, I could spend a long time talking about that, but We are just looking at every single project as it comes in, making sure it's scheduled appropriately, prioritized. This is where Kim kind of talked about knowing your goals. So at the pre-application meeting, if we can find out your goals for approval or permitting, it helps us do that daily management work so we can schedule your projects appropriately. And then that leads into part of that daily management system is that we're having huddles multiple times a day with different team members to look at the workload. The managers are meeting to look at the workload and make sure things are scheduled appropriately. All right. So that's what we're doing. And again, I'm giving a 30-second overview of something we're spending a lot of time working on. But I didn't want to overwhelm for information. I think what's really important, though, is on the second item. We found that the City of Phoenix does a readout of their plan review timeframes, and it's, hopefully, the slide is changing here in a minute. There. And this is just showing building because we cut it off so you could read it, but it looks like they report on civil plan review and planning too. So what we're saying today is we're gonna make a commitment to read out on our plan review timeframes as well. We are going to start doing this quarterly. I see Phoenix seems to do it monthly, but we don't have the same volume of work as Phoenix does, so we're gonna start this out quarterly. So this is gonna be our commitment to our customers of letting you know where we are with our various review timeframes for all of our divisions that do plan review so that we can keep ourselves accountable and then you guys can give us feedback on if we're meeting your needs for plan review times. Oh. Yeah. All right. So along with plan review, we did get some specific comments on the zoning process itself, so I wanted to address that separately. And what we heard is, again, we heard that maybe that there could be better coordination with engineering, between planning and engineering on some of the comments during the zoning process itself. And again, what I just went through about we're doing this development review committee, the managers are really engaged and collaborating with each other. We think that's gonna make a big difference in how our customers are seeing that coordination. We also heard some feedback on how Goodyear does our noticing for public meetings. And we do have a project underway right now. We've been researching how other cities do their noticing for public hearings and citizen review. And we're hoping to start a little pilot project on that soon to test out doing it in some new ways. So if any customers are listening and have an upcoming case and wants to volunteer to be in our pilot project, let me or Christian Williams, our planning manager, know, and we can work with you on that. But basically, for those who don't know, Goodyear does all the noticing for projects, and it is more typical in other cities where the customer does a lot of that noticing on citizen review especially, but even the public hearing. So we're looking at aligning ourselves better with how other cities do that. And then if that pilot project goes well and we're getting good feedback, then we'll make any changes we need to formally to our processes or ordinance to codify that. And then on stipulations, we got some similar feedback as we did on the review comments, that there was maybe a lack of consistency and clarity and predictability on the stipulations being received. And I am working closely with our legal department. We are working on hiring an outside legal consultant to help us with this project and basically refresh our standard stipulations. We're looking at what other cities do in their standard stipulation language, and then the output of that is going to be a list of standard stipulations, which I think will cover a good 80–90% of the stipulations you see on your zoning cases that are hopefully simple, clear, and then you will see that they are consistently used. We can provide once we have them, we'd be happy to provide copies of those standard stipulations so you can guess what's coming. And these are getting at the things such as having some clear language on how we require the right-of-way dedication, and then we just plug in which roads we're talking about on this specific zoning case as an example. So we are working on those changes to the zoning process right now, and you should be seeing some of those improvements coming in the next couple months. I'm going to go ahead and pause here because that was a lot on the plan review, because we're about to shift gears to another topic, and just ask, are there any questions or feedback on this part of the plan review? Yes, Scott.
Katie, we've heard that you're trying to get away from development agreements and really focus on PADs or zoning cases that incorporate utility agreements within those. What's your position there?
Thank you. For those online who might not have been able to hear the question, it was asked, I hear that your Goodyear is getting away from development agreements and focusing on the PADs for the infrastructure requirements. And I do not have a formal policy to hand out, but yes, that is a discussion we're having internally. We are going to require development agreements for all annexations. Perhaps not right-of-way annexations, but all property annexations will require development agreement. Outside of that, we are trying to keep development agreements to the more economic development related items and not necessarily doing it for every master plan community. However, we're still in process of this, so again, we don't have like a nice policy handout sheet to hand it out. So for those of you who are working on these PADs, we'll have to discuss it with you. And then the other thing we're trying to do is make, when we do need development agreements, perhaps make them a little bit more simple. So if it turns out you're doing a master plan community or anything, and we need a development agreement to address some of the complicated infrastructure things that come up, we can keep it to just those few items. In the past, Goodyear's often repeated a lot of the PAD language into the development agreement, and that's what we are trying to get away from. So I would just recommend for anyone who has zoning cases or any kind of case that they think needs a development agreement, just start asking staff and talking to us about that so we can work through it together early on. Does that help answer? Okay, thanks, Scott.
Yes.
Anything else? Anything online? Nope. All right. Okay, with that, I'm going to introduce Tim Fisher, our permit manager, who's going to talk about Acela.
All right, I am the permit manager, Tim Fisher. For those of you online, it's nice to at least talk to you. I've only been with the team 8 months. I come from a continuous improvement background, so I was chatting with a few of the people in the room about the listening session and how happy we were because we got a bunch of work out of that listening session. So some people think this isn't really great. We're very happy. Anytime we get some customer feedback to make some improvements, we're pretty excited about it because it gives us directed, focused ways to solve problems. We think we know a lot of things, but I think if it doesn't meet your needs, we're not really doing what we're supposed to do. So I'm going to walk you through some of the stuff we talked about a little bit before and what we're working on in Acela, and I'll be back in a little bit in the presentation to talk about a few other things. But on the updates from when we spoke last time at the development forum, one of the things we talked about was the new e-check that went up to $2 million. And so with that new e-check, we worked through it, and we haven't had one issue since then where a customer couldn't pay with an e-check because it went up to $2 million. So we believe that was a very successful launch. Because of that, the trust accounts, we've already been speaking to everybody on the call that the trust accounts long-term are going to go away. We know we have some legacy customers, some of them are in the room, who I've spoken to about their trust account and the need for it. But in general, we've audited all the trust accounts with the finance team. We're ready to give you your money back because we shouldn't really be holding your money when you could just pay online and it wouldn't cost you a dime. So this is the idea, is we're going to go back, and the people who don't need a trust account for a specific reason, we're going to give you your money back in the next probably 30 to 60 days. This is something that's a high priority for not only me, but for the finance team, who just really doesn't understand this old legacy model. We used this model when we were in HTE when you couldn't pay online, so it was way easier for you as a customer for us to manage your trust account and pay for your permits. It was way better. But now there's no need for it because we can pay online up to $2 million. So that's the first thing. I believe that that's really a great item. Then we've worked on a couple of things that were comments that came to us not from the listening session, but were there before. And one of them was the customer couldn't see the inspector's phone number on the permit. So you'd be in the field, you had a permit, you couldn't call your inspector because you didn't know what it was, but now the inspector's phone number is on the permit. And the expiring permits you couldn't see in Acela ACA. So your citizen portal, you weren't able to see your permits that were expiring, and now your permits are able to be seen online as well. We're also working, it's not on this slide, about helping update expiring permits for you so you don't have to do it yourself. Because as long as the projects are active, the permit shouldn't be expiring, whether it's a building permit or an engineering permit. And so there's a project in line working right now to make this so that it's automated and you don't have to do this and you don't have to track this yourself. Because we hear this is a big problem for you as a customer, and we recognize it, and so there's a fix coming soon. So definitely by the next time we get together, that should be on the mix too. What else? Scheduling inspections. Oh, this just was launched today. So it just launched today. This is our multiple inspections at one time. Another item, maybe the people sitting in the room or even online don't experience this, but if you're in the field as an inspector and you want to schedule, it was very difficult to do it one at a time in the field. So we just launched this new multiple inspection item today where you could click, be able to do 10 in a row if that's what you need, in just a couple of clicks. It's really easily done. So we're looking for some feedback. We've got somebody on speed dial right now who's working this from the TruePoint. So if the thing isn't doing what you need it to do today, there's people working on this actively as we speak. This is a game changer for those who actually have to work in the field with Acela Mobile. So we're very, very excited about this. Today's the first day. And we have a secondary item coming like it, Tom, right? The text to schedule is coming as well. That's almost done, we believe. So there's going to be multiple ways for you to be able to schedule in the field with it's a lot easier access. So those are the two things we're really very excited about. The thing we're not so excited about is the actual thing that came out of the listening session, which was, hey, I'm having trouble with Acela and the way this resubmittal in the document feature works. That item, we haven't really solved this problem yet, but we left it on here to say we still are working on this. We've heard this, and we'll probably be reaching out to a few of you who, I think one of you was in the room yesterday who had this very problem. So we know what this is. We just don't have a fix in hand, but we didn't want to act like it wasn't going to be addressed. It's there. We're working on it, and we see what's happening. But I'll pause right there because that's really all I have. There's probably 5 more improvements happening in Acela, but they're just a little ways away. We're only a year and a half into Acela, so we're very new. We're trying to make it better every single day, and we have a dedicated group of people who look at it every single day. And then we'll talk about some more things in a minute when we get to my other section. Any questions about some of these items here? Or anybody online who have a question? Beautiful.
Okay, the next thing we heard at the customer listening session is that there was opportunity with our administrative review process. And again, in Goodyear, we call it pre-screen just because our software uses that term pre-screen, but it's the administrative review process. And that it was taking a while. So we were able to pull the data. And in this case, we found, as it comes up, I don't know why. Maybe I need a clicker. Okay. All right. 60% of our pre-screens are completed in one review within 2 business days. The other 40% are completed within 7 business days, and that includes the back and forth with the customer that may be going on. And so we don't think this is the problem that we were hearing at the customer listening session, because we pulled some of the people's information that were at the session talking about this. And we think there's actually some technical assistance needed with Acela, because, bless software, it's so helpful, but sometimes it's very sensitive to how you put information in. And there is a way to add people to the project to make sure they're getting notices. I am not going to explain it to you because I will get it wrong. So we're going to put instructions on our website on how to add people to the project. We also think there may be there's a lot of people who do big projects, one-offs, but there's a lot of customers who have a lot of work coming in and out of our system. There's these large residential subdivisions where there's just hundreds of permits going on. And we also think sometimes there's a single point of contact in some of these emails that are saying, hey, there's a problem with your pre-screen, are getting lost in the email. And so we do want to talk to some of those customers of how can we better get that flashing. And again, sometimes there's constraints with the software on we can only control so much of what the automatic email says when it goes to you. Some of it may be who's in the, we can talk to you about who's in the project. So I will say if you are one of those customers who feels like you've been experiencing problems with not getting noticed on your admin review, having comments on it or being rejected, please reach out to us, reach out to our permit tech counter, and we will go through some of the different troubleshooting. Are we putting people in the project correctly? How else can we let you know that there's a item to be addressed at pre-screen? But it does look like the majority of our customers are getting through pre-screen in a reasonable manner. Okay. Moving on to one of our big ones. This one's fun because it says here civil inspection, but I'm going to introduce our building official to talk about this civil inspection item. Cheryl Mullis, sorry.
Hi, thank you. Hi, Cheryl. I introduced myself to everyone, so I'm building official. Thank you for coming today. I wanted to talk about something during the customer listening session, and it came up more than once, was how long it takes to get through the process with a C of O based on civil, maybe holding up inspections. And what we discovered is Goodyear's not a little city anymore. We're growing. And so we're going towards the route of other jurisdictions, and building will be taking over civil inspections for all on-site or private. So from property line in, and we're going to keep our civil team in the right-of-way. The only thing they'll be on site for will be grading and drainage, storm, thank you, and retention. Those are things, because as our floodplain manager, they're in charge of that. So you'll be working closer with the building inspectors, and the great news about that is our system, we do next day inspections, next business day. So responsive will be there, any of your inspections will be there. Our goal is to make the C of O process smoother, get you in your building as soon as you possibly can. So this is going to work really well. And I think some of you know this already, but other cities do this. In fact, where I came from, that's the way it was done. And then on that same, we are also, this is effective July 1st. July 1st, fire, Mike Bruni is our fire marshal, and I worked with Mike in Peoria for 14 years before we came here. And he actually did fire plan review and inspections in Peoria. That is the way we're going with Goodyear as well. So on July 1st, fire will take over plan review and inspections and then be part of the C of O process through their area. They will, again, next day inspections because they'll be using our system. So it's a team. We're involving the departments that are needed to make this happen, a smoother transition. So you'll see during reviews, we have all the right departments involved. Now we're going to have the same on the inspection side. So it should be much smoother. We're very excited about it. And we also want to share that since our customer listening, we've been meeting twice a week. I want to say we, I only went through a couple times, but our team, there's about 10 people, meet every Tuesday and Thursday. It's 4 hours a week minimum. And they're putting a lot of effort into this. It's a process, right? It's a transition. So let me thank you ahead of time for your patience while we figure this out. But right now we're working on it. It'll be plan review changes for submitting, and then the inspections will go along with that. But we're very excited about this. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about. And we're also going to be doing a training session, which we will need for our teams, and we will share that with you. And you'll be invited to that as well, probably on Teams. I'm thinking, so we'll do a presentation, but we're working on it. It's going to be good. Okay, do you have any questions for me? Nothing? No. And I am kind of split personality. I'm the manager and the building official. I'm really mad at myself because she's not getting plans done, but I'm working on it. So, thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Cheryl. So I'm really excited about this improvement because it seems we are aligning ourselves with how things are typically done at other cities, and our civil team has been stretched thin, and this is going to give them more capacity to focus on our infrastructure, the off-sites, and the things they really should be focused on, and then allow building to take over that on-site work and be more responsive. And so I really think this change is going to help. And just to add on to, I think it's going to be very clear what's going to happen if you're submitting a project after July 1st. It's going to be very clear. It's always those transition projects, the projects that are in process, that the questions come up. So if you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out to me or anyone on our team that you feel comfortable reaching out with if you have questions on how your project may be impacted. Oh, sorry. Okay. Oh, they're proud of me because I'm learning how to use a PowerPoint. This is where I'm at. All right, so we also just heard a general overarching that some folks were struggling with staff responsiveness. And I think this, as I'm talking to customers and hearing, I think this was primarily focused on getting answers from our plan review team. And again, we're hearing our staff are very professional and helpful, but sometimes they just don't have the answers. So how do we get those answers that you guys need to keep your projects moving forward? And a couple items of clarity. We are asking our plan reviewers to spend time focusing on plan review because they can get really distracted by emails and phone calls. So we have told them to go ahead and shut off your phone and email at times when you need to get a plan review out for a customer so that they can get your plans done. So I want to be upfront with that so that you're not expecting that you're always going to get your plan reviewer on the phone immediately. They are supposed to respond to you within 24 hours, even if at the time it's just, hey, I got your question and I am working on it. I have time next Thursday to get back to you. That's how they should be responding to you. So if you're not getting it, if you're sending off an email or a voicemail and 24 hours is going by and nobody's called you, that's when you can elevate that and let us know. However, we do know that sometimes there are immediate needs. And so we would ask you that if you have something going on, you need an immediate response, you can't get a hold of your plan reviewer, to please call the front counter. And we have the front counter's phone number. We've also made a lot of improvements on our front counter phone system. We just got Microsoft Teams for our phone system, a couple months ago, and it gives the front counter a lot of cool tools as like a front counter phone system so that they can better track the calls are getting picked up immediately and how many people do we need answering the phone so that we're able to. We also found out we had some technical issues with voicemail boxes that weren't connected to anything, and so people were frustrated we weren't calling back, but we weren't connected to the voicemail. So I think you're going to see a lot of improvements on that side. But then also, if you have an immediate need, they'll be able to tell you, oh yeah, that plan reviewer is here. You have an immediate need. I can connect you with them. Or they might even be able to answer the question themselves. If you're asking for the status of a project when something happening, our front counter knows a lot about the system and how to get into it. So they might even just be able to help.
Teams channels, inspection channels for the inspection group. So a lot of these questions that are coming in are for the field people. So you could call in the front counter, they could make a quick Teams chat out to the field guy could call with Teams chat them back in. Oh. Yeah, so we made some improvement on the front counter by creating these two external Teams channels for both inspections for building and civil. So you might call into the front counter, they'll make a quick Teams chat. You might get the answer from the guy in the field. We could then respond back on the phone. So there's this kind of tight coordination that's going on between what's happening in the field and what's happening in the office. And that front counter right there is really the nexus of where all this can be done. And they're learning, they're growing, and I think there's just a really nice synergy between the teams right now.
I completely agree. Thanks for that, Tim. And then again, all those improvements we talked about before about development review committee and like the plan review managers focusing on the teams, that also helps with the responsiveness so that when a plan reviewer does get a question that maybe needs collaboration from other teams or assistance from a manager, the managers have the time and schedule to sit with the plan reviewers and help things keep moving forward too. So all these improvements we're talking about relate and help each other. All right, next I'm going to introduce Marty Crossland, our Deputy Director of Development Engineering. All right. There, oops. All right.
Good morning. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being online. As Katie said, I'm Marty Cross. I'm the Deputy Director. I'm over the Civil Plan Review and the Civil Inspections groups. So I'm going to talk about field changes versus as-builts and also versus plan amendments. So I know that we heard from the listening session that there's a lot of confusion about what falls into which category, whether it needs to be something that is handled in the field purely as an as-built, something that can be easily added to the as-built drawings, versus a field change that might need a little bit of plan review, but nothing substantial, and then a full-blown plan amendment, which is the more aggressive changes. So what we've worked on is, and I've got copies up here if you guys are interested. This is what we're proposing to put in the engineering standards update so that we all have a better definition of what these things are and provide some examples, because the current standards don't delineate any of it. It just says, hey, if it's a field change, it's 8.5 by 11, send it in for review, and it'll be incorporated in the as-builts. So it kind of mashed two categories together, whereas it should be 3 individual lanes. So take a look at that. It does kind of delineate who is your main point of contact, what type of item should fall into those categories. A lot of it has to do with, does it impact anything else? Is it simply moving a fire hydrant because of some unknown in the field? It doesn't really impact anything else. If you're changing the elevation of a street or you're changing the elevation of a water or sewer line, that's a lot different. It has a more of a cascading effect. So that is, in an effort to try to reduce the confusion that keeps a project that's already in motion from sitting and waiting days, if not weeks, to try to sort this out, trying to get a better description that everyone can work off of to say, hey, we think this is an as-built. Can we just handle it in the field versus, okay, I only need to make an 8.5 by 11 or maybe even a single plan sheet for a field change that might still have to come through plan review, or is this an entire plan set with multiple pages that has to come through a plan review? The appropriate fees would still apply, and I know that it wasn't necessarily on that slide about the changes in plan review, but not only are the second reviews and above being not only are the second reviews and above being prioritized in the plan review queue, but also the field changes and plan amendments, because we know that these are almost always projects that are under construction. So, time is money for everyone. It's not a paper issue, it is a field issue. You have contractors sitting and waiting that might need to demob if they can't get an answer right away. So we are looking to have those fall into a 5-day time frame of review or less, trying to do it same day if we can. Sometimes it's not possible, but just to try to eliminate some of the confusion. So if you have any questions on this, let me know. This is the proposed language. I had it reviewed internally between both the field staff and plan review staff, and have incorporated some of their feedback in here. But if you guys have any suggestions or anything, I'd be willing to take in any of that as well. Yeah, I can provide it. Yeah, I've got copies of it, so we can do that. All right. Anything else? All right. Well, thank you.
And then I'm going to introduce Tim again for our next item. It didn't move. There.
It's frenetic. All right, we're talking about the closeout process. We heard this probably at the advisory forum as well as at the listening session. This has to do with how warranties, performance bonds, all of these things that are going on at the end of a project, where are we and what's happening with this? So what we can tell you is every single item that was outstanding in the city has been audited. The financials have been tracked. We've reached out to, I would say, 20 to 25 of you already. Some of we've given back probably 15 of these performance bond, warranty bond system. There's another 12 or 14 that are in the queue now, actively reaching out to people. So everybody who should have or received their performance bond back and moved into warranty, or somebody who was past warranty and just did never come get their warranty bond has been reached out to. All of that work is happening in that first section. We're very excited. It took us 6 months of work. So we started on this before the listening session and the advisory forum because we knew this system in the back end of the project wasn't clean. Some of this belongs to us. Some of it belongs to the team who doesn't want to come pick up their warranty bond. All these things are kind of odd to us. So don't you want this back? But some of it was really our process at the end of the projects were not very clean. So from there, we went and worked on probably months ago getting the as-builts to be uploaded into Acela themselves. That's going to start the closeout process in a little more quickly. This idea of on-sites and off-sites is going to help this coordination. We're working diligently to get the as-builts moving throughout the process, approved throughout the process, so at the very, very end, it should be a very quick turn. 5 days or less, 10 days or less to get these as-builts approved, close this project out, get the thing into warranty, and then get moving. So there's a real commitment between all of us to get this back into the process moving at a speed that somebody would expect. And then all of the system pieces in Acela are now there. So from the very beginning of plan review, we have the letter already being created for the warranty. So there's a lot of work Acela could have done for us that really is going to make it easier for Tommy's team in the field and the inspector to know what's going on in this warranty process. We just were not familiar with it yet. There were plenty of other things we were working on Acela, but now we've had time to go back and clean up this. So we're very, very excited about that. And because there was so much issue going on the backside and the field staff was just trying to learn how to use Acela, we've created a opportunity for our permit supervisor, Angie, our permit administrator, Angie, to actually go spend 20 to 40 hours a week working with Tommy's team to help this process itself. So we understand this is a pain point. We know the process is not as clean as it could be, but I think those of you that are getting near the end of your project right now will see a significant change to the way your project's closed out. Previous ones, because I know some of you online that are here have projects at different stages right now, you'll see this process become significantly different in the next time you go to do that. Any questions online? And I think the last thing, Katie, was there was something at the listening session that there was some issue and questions about some people's warranty dates. And so there were some questions about whether the date on the warranty that they had previously was correct. So I know if you're online today, 3 of you I've been speaking with about whether the date's right and how we can line those up. So we're still coming back to you to make sure that if we don't agree on the dates, we can at least get that synced up a little bit. So we didn't forget about that. It's just not on the slide.
Thank you, Tim. And again, if you think we forgot you, reach out to us if you have any questions on that warranty process, bonding process. So now we just want to go over a few odds and ends on some project updates. So first, I'm going to ask Christian Williams to give us an update on our zoning ordinance update project.
Good morning, Christian Williams. I'm planning manager here with Goodyear. And City of Goodyear is doing a comprehensive update to our zoning ordinance. Our last zoning ordinance was updated, I think, comprehensively in 1998, so it's been decades. The project does have a website if you have any questions about the timeline and things. The website is goodyearaz.gov/zoning. So hopefully that's pretty easy to remember without a QR code or anything like that. Our project is anticipated to be completed by June 2026, and that is a council strategic action plan goal. And on the website, goodyearaz.gov/zoning, we do have a survey that's active. That survey is to solicit y'all's feedback, and we invite you to participate in that. That survey will be up through June. Additionally, we did have a community workshop where we had residents and home builders and all sorts of folks come and participate, and that happened in April. We had pretty good turnout and a lot of engagement with that. But there will be an additional stakeholder roundtable that's scheduled. It'll be virtual, and we just finalized the date and time this morning. It'll be June 5th from 10:30 to noon. Again, that'll be virtually, and you'll receive an email either today or tomorrow giving you all an invitation to that. So thank you. Any questions about that? Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. And now, Marty, will you give us an update on where the engineering design standards and policy manual is?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, so those of you that have that are on the Development Advisory Forum, a mailing list, we've sent out multiple invitations to 3 separate sessions for external review of our standards, any input, feedback, as well as internal stakeholder meetings to try to update the standards. We are at the closing stages of that right now. We're wrapping up final details and setting ourselves up for a July 7th council meeting work session to discuss, and I believe the first meeting after the break is still when it'll be adopted, so it will be something that is going to be an effective immediately type of thing. So there's not a whole lot that's major shakeups, and it's a lot of cleanup, like what I just previously spoke on with the field changes type of thing. Our waiver process was never in the standard, so trying to implement some things that are gray areas to help eliminate confusion all around. But if you have any questions on that, I'm willing to take them. All right, thank you.
Thank you. I always like to point out that, so the zoning ordinance was updated in '98, and it has typewriter repair as one of our permitted uses. I can't tell you where our best goes, but typewriter repair, we know exactly what zoning district. And the EDS and PM requires a CD with all submittals. So we're really excited about coming into the modern age. Welcome us. So the IWMP, the Integrated Water Master Plan, that was an effort led by our Water Services Department, and that was adopted by council last month, and it is now on our website. So a copy of that is on our website, and with the regulatory documents, is that? Not yet. Oh, not yet. It was too big, so we have to split it up. Oh, we have some work to do. Okay, it will be on our website any minute now. Give us one quick second. But that was adopted by City Council, and we're getting that out to you. And then finally, the IBC update. Cheryl, will you come give us an update on that project?
Thank you. So back to my previous slide. Don't go back there, though. We kind of postponed the code updates with having the priority being on-site civil and fire, the changes. So as soon as that's implemented in July, then the focus will go back to the code updates. And also, we want to be aligned with the other jurisdictions. And so many, including Phoenix, Tempe, are still working on code amendments. And Peoria is also still working on it. And we want to be not an outlier, right? We want to be consistent with the other cities. And so we're working on that, working closely with fire. And also wanted to share that our goal, stay on the 18s right now. We will have a grace period anyways. When we do the adoption, you'll have a grace period. So if you're in design, just stay on the 18, and we'll work with you on that. And then also for the home builders that are here, thank you for coming. Our goal is to keep that process just as simple as that, and that possibly a cover sheet for any revisions. That's our goal. We don't want to have hundreds of plans coming in and stressing everyone out when we can work through this together. So that's our goal, is keep it simple, customer-centric. That's what we're doing. And then I also want to mention that it's Building Safety Month, and we are celebrating that. And the inside goal is I'm thankful for my team. I have a great team. We like to say that first responders need heroes too. So that's what building inspection is. So had to throw that in, Mike.
I'll wake you up the next time.
Fine, I'll put my batteries back in my smoke alarm. Okay. Thank you, but thank you for coming today. If you have any questions, reach out. Okay? Thank you.
Any questions on the project updates? Anything online? That concludes what we had for you today. So again, I just want to say thank you. And again, this wasn't a one and done thing. We are talking internally. We do plan on doing a survey annually. We also got really good feedback on our customer listening session. So we're talking about how we can keep those as a regular thing, maybe do it a little smaller, some round tables, maybe on some specific topics. If you guys have any thoughts on how we can keep that dialogue open, again, we're welcome to feedback and even how we ask you for feedback. And again, my email address is right up here. It's also on the city's website. So if you have any additional feedback, thoughts, concerns, feel free to let me know. Feel free to let anyone on our team know. Again, we have so much activity going on here in Goodyear. We're so excited about your partnership and helping us grow and develop Goodyear. So we want to be able to work with you as easily as possible and make that simple customer-centric process. So we need to hear from you on how to do that. So again, thank you so much for those who attended in person. Thank you so much for those online who took time out to attend as well. Any last minute questions pop up online while I was wrapping up? Or, yeah, Mike.
It's Mike Olson here at Globe Corporation. I'm not tooting our horn as developer of this development, but I just want to share with everybody involved in Goodyear that I was at ICSC Monday, and the National Director of Real Estate for Shake Shack was speaking to hundreds of people with a couple other retail development directors, and he specifically pointed out that their Shake Shack here in Goodyear set all-time opening records of every location in the country. So
Yay.
excited about that. Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you.
Please toot the GSQ horn. We love it. I think it's a benefit to so many of the developments too. Obviously, you know, it is becoming a jewel here for Goodyear and the whole West Valley, I think. I'm biased.
Yeah, I was just going to echo what this gentleman said. You've got so much going on. It'd be great to have an economic development presentation.
Great.
Every time I come out here, I see new buildings come up and great activity of what you have going on.
That's a great suggestion. I can see people writing it down right now, so thank you. Anything else? All right, thank you. Well, you know, staff's here too for those in person if you have any other questions, and we'd love to talk to you. Thank you.